There's the mic. Welcome, folks. NFL free agency is something that I'm sure a lot of you have been paying a lot of attention to. It's going as advertised so far throughout the first 10 hours since the deadline opened up at 11 Central Time or 12 Eastern Time. We've got signings. We've got guys getting released. We've got trades that happened not too long ago. We have a variety of other transactions happening around the NFL just this time of year in general, even far before, I shouldn't say far before, but a couple days before the negotiating period opened up again about 10 hours ago. So I am Cory. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. Welcome in. We're going to be covering pretty much everything that's happened so far and kind of tracking the news live for the next 45 minutes to an hour. We'll see how long this goes, and we'll be answering your questions along with it. If you are a fantasy football player, if you are a dynasty player, obviously you have an active team 12 months out of the year, everything that's happened the last 10 hours means a lot to you. It matters. Quick reminder before we do get underway today, Discord in the description. It's free. We've got general chat, announcements chat. We'll have little stat splurges here and there. I'm essentially helping you research for fantasy football 24/7, 365, 52 weeks out of the year, however you want to slice it. We're helping you. Any questions you have, you can go in there and ask me at literally any time. So that's a luxury. Make sure you take advantage of it. We also do have our merchandise link. If you want to join the Armchair Armor, we've got sweatshirts, we've got shirts, we've got hats, we've got mugs, we've got almost anything that you could possibly imagine. So if you want to support us that way, would greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, the Discord, take advantage of that Discord, join it. There's only about 10 people in there right now, so chances are if you ask me a question, I will probably get back to you more times than not. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, comment any of your free agency questions and I will get to you. But now we're going to run through each move and what it means from a regular, NFL perspective, how it impacts each team, but also how it impacts the fantasy football market as a whole. So let's get into it. We start with Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, 4-year deal for $180 million, 36 years old, just tore his Achilles. He should be back around the beginning of the season, still looking for a definitive timetable on that. Atlanta is a team that a lot of people would say, we're just a QB away from being dangerous. Well, now they've got their quarterback. They've got somebody who's been doing it just as good as about anybody statistics-wise over the course of the last decade. He's been Mr. Consistent for the Vikings. Now, if you want to talk about primetime performance, if you want to talk about the fact that he doesn't have a whole lot of playoff wins at the moment, that's a different conversation. But fantasy-wise, there's quite the impact here. I want to wish a congratulations to all of you Kyle Pitts and Drake London owners. I mean, specifically those two, right? There are other pieces on this offense that should thrive in various forms, but Kyle Pitts is, untapped potential at its finest. He's a prime example of it. He is a freak of a prospect if we look at what he was able to offer coming out of college at the tight end position, and he really has just seemed like someone who hasn't been able to reach his full potential due to the supporting cast around him. I mean, if we want to point the fingers at Arthur Smith, that's fine. Lack of usage was an issue. But even then, catch percentage with Kyle Pitts and with Drake London, these guys were getting targeted a decent amount at one point or another, and the catchable ball rate was not very good. In other words, I'm kind of skating around it here. The quarterback play was subpar. Desmond Ridder did not look good. Taylor Heineke did not look a whole lot better. The fact that this team was going back and forth between those two names throughout the year, not a great sign in my opinion. So Kyle Pitts owners, Drake London owners, specifically in Dynasty, because I would assume you haven't drafted early March otherwise, right? Congratulations to you. The price just went up. Now, if you want to sell them off and kind of leave that up to the imagination of those who would be willing to buy a Kyle Pitts or a Drake London, that's fine. If you want to ride it out, your situation and your ceiling for these two players and really anybody on this Falcons offense, especially now that Arthur Smith is out and Kirk Cousins is in for Desmond Ridder, I think everything just got a whole lot brighter. We move on to DeAndre Swift going to my Chicago Bears, a 3-year, $24 million deal. 4.6 yards per carry over the course of his career so far, so a pretty efficient back. Not the biggest guy. He's not going to run between the tackles a whole lot. He's more of your, pitch and catch, take the dump downs and do that type of thing. 4.9 yards per carry over the course of the last 2 years is the efficiency that we've seen out of DeAndre Swift. Obviously coming off of that lone season with the Eagles. He was with the Lions a couple of years before that, shared the backfield with Jamal Williams a couple of years ago. Chicago did not have a decisive running back one until now. Going into this year, if you looked at the depth chart, it would have been Khalil Herbert. he averaged a little over 6 yards per carry. I believe it was nearly 6.5 yards per carry just a couple of years ago, but it was a really small sample size. A lot of people looked at that, myself included, and started going, okay, we've got potential for a breakout running back here. He's getting more of a sample size, and he was super efficient before. That didn't happen. He didn't get his sample size. He was hurt. Roschon Johnson was the complimentary RB2. Deontay Foreman looked like the RB2 and even the RB1 at one point. If you've noticed the theme here, there really was not there is an opt-out for DeAndre Swift after 2 years, and then there'd be $1.3 million in dead cap going into year 3. So if they want to exercise that, those two parties will talk following the 2025 season. But DeAndre Swift, a Chicago Bear, he has shown ability to be a premier passer. We already covered his efficiency. You know, he wasn't really given a shot by himself last year. I know he had his 1,000 Russell games where he only had 5 or 6, and that's because he was sharing the backfield with guys like Kenneth Gainwell. It was a diverse running attack, and Jalen Hurts was poaching him at the goal line. It felt like every time that team got to the 1-yard line. Now, I don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be like in Chicago, but I do know that, well, there might just be a little more opportunity for somebody like DeAndre Swift to punch it into the end zone, regardless of if it's Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, or insert name here. Under center, it's not Jalen Hurts getting the tush push every time, so there is that. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, to the rivals in this NFC East division. Can't say I saw that coming by any stretch of the imagination, but here we are, right? Free agency is going to throw a couple curveballs at you for sure. The supporting cast problem just got fixed. I mean, he is still behind an elite offensive line now, even with Jason Kelce retiring. There's not a whole lot to like about what's going on in New York, but there is a whole lot to like about what's going on in Philadelphia. Even though they kind of had that disappointing latter stretch of the season, they obviously got first rounded by Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, and he just signed a huge extension, so congratulations to him. But Saquon Barkley, that all-purpose back, he's definitely an upgrade if he can stay healthy over DeAndre Swift. There's some parties like Tiki Barber, I believe, already kind of jawing at Saquon for joining the rival. You don't see that too often, but it does happen. Dynasty owners of Kenneth Gainwell should have mixed feelings. You know, on one end of the coin, Barkley will have more touches than DeAndre Swift did. Again, he's that all-purpose back. He has the pass-catching element, but it can also be a workhorse. Again, if healthy, health is wealth. But on the other end of the spectrum, again, he is injury prone. So if Saquon Barkley, who maybe is getting more touches, all of a sudden just goes down for the year, Kenneth Gainwell could be that next guy in line. That is, unless the Eagles go out and draft another running back or grab another running back and all of a sudden turn it into a competition. Boston Scott's not really scaring anybody. Josh Jacobs to the Packers. 4-year, $48 million deal. There is an opt-out option each year after the first year. So if he plays the first year, he doesn't have to be a Packer the year after, or the year after that, or the year after that. There were reports of Aaron Jones being released that came out about an hour, or even less than an hour, after we heard that Josh Jacobs was going to the Packers. So there were definitely Packer fans and people out there in general who thought this is by far and away the best backfield in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon's in there, Emmanuel Wilson, Patrick Taylor showed off down the stretch. Holy cow. And then Aaron Jones was released. So Jones, 29 years old, about to be 30 in a few months. He was owed $12 million as a 29-year-old running back. Instead, they're paying, on average, $12 million for Josh Jacobs. He's younger, so you've got that upgrade, but Jacobs only had 3.5 yards per carry last year, so we'll see if he can be up to par and perform up to his price. The bar definitely set high when you look at the financial end of things, but he gives this offense the option to be more balanced. Last year, a first-year starter in Jordan Love, a lot of second, third, and obviously rookie-year wide receiver and just pass-catching options in general on this offensive team. I mean, this team was probably a lot more pass-heavy than they originally wanted to be with that cast. Did it turn out well? It absolutely did. But this is still a young receiving core. John Runyon, one of the O-linemen, gone to the Giants. I believe I saw 3 years, $30 million. Jacobs is still phenomenal. So we'll see what he can do. As for the ripple effect around the Packers, I don't think it changes too much other than they might be a little more balanced, lean more towards the run game because Jacobs doesn't have an injury history really, and Jones went down a couple of times this year and really wasn't 100% till that last month of the season. Gabe Davis goes to Jacksonville. I don't think this is a game changer when you look at the entire NFL landscape. I mean, this was a multifaceted attack in Jacksonville to begin with. You've got Christian Kirk as your primary. You've got Calvin Ridley as your secondary. You've got Zay Jones as your tertiary. You've got Evan Ingram with the potential to be a top 5 tight end if he's utilized enough from a fantasy perspective. Davis is added to, I just have a high-flying Jacksonville offense. Lawrence definitely underperformed last year, but this is still a talented team following year 3 for Lawrence. I don't think this impacts Christian Kirk a whole lot at all because, like I just said, he already had plenty of competition and still was able to muster that 1,000-yard season. They're heavily bought in. The Jaguars are heavily bought into somebody like Christian Kirk. 4 years, $84 million. We're entering another year of that. He's still the richest receiver on this team, and he still will be following the Gabe Davis deal. Davis was the secondary option to Stephon Diggs. I don't think he takes away a ton from the guys on that offense. They're used to sharing the ball anyway. Lawrence just needs to play better. Michael Pittman Jr. extended for 3 more years as an Indianapolis Colt. Pittman Jr., you put him up there with guys like Allen Robinson, who have persevered through subpar quarterback play. We had Carson Wentz a couple of years ago. We had Matt Ryan not too long ago, and not prime Matt Ryan, washed up, about to be retired and become an analyst on TV, Matt Ryan. And Michael Pittman Jr. had to deal with that. Despite that, and then Anthony Richardson gets hurt this year, and Gardner Minshew comes in and actually plays pretty well. We'll cover him next. But despite all of that, Michael Pittman Jr. is averaging a little over 1,000 receiving yards per season over the course of the last 3 years. In 2 of the last 3 years, he has surpassed 1,000 yards. Richardson showed some flashes early. Again, health is wealth. We need the Florida prospect to actually be on the field, and then we could see maybe what Michael Pittman could do as a 1,300 or 1,400-yard wide receiver. I do think he has that potential if the right guys are under center. Josh Downs is still the secondary option. Alec Pierce is someone you're really going to need to dig deep for, to convince yourself to go and get, considering that Michael Pittman now has that heavy financial investment, tied to him. The Colts made it very clear they want this guy in his prime, and he's stepping into his prime right now. Gardner Minshew, just mentioned him before. He's off to hit the slots in Vegas, so he's going to compete with Aiden O'Connell. I believe I saw 2 years, around $15 million. I thought Gardner Minshew might go to a team like the Jets next year. I don't know if there's an opt-out in this deal or not, but I thought after Aaron Rodgers' contract is done or he calls it a career, Minshew, someone who hasn't really been given a shot as a starting quarterback. He's floated around, obviously was with the Eagles for a bit, started with the Jags, coming back from being with the Colts, and took that team to the playoffs. I thought the Jets that's where he's going to get his chance. Nope, doesn't look like it right now. There's an open quarterback competition between him and a pretty inexperienced Aiden O'Connell. O'Connell looked sharp at times, but consistency just wasn't there. Those are things you're going to see. It's a telltale sign that you are dealing with a rookie. So that's what we have there. Austin Eckler, we move to the backfield again. He signs a 2-year deal with the Washington Commanders. A little over $5 million a year. Down year this last year for sure, with some injuries. 69 touchdowns in 7 years. 3 different seasons with at least 70 receptions. 2 years ago, he had over 100 receptions. If you look at the running back landscape and just look at pass catchers in general out of the backfield, in my opinion, it is Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, and Alvin Kamara. That's been the consistent, you don't want to call it a Mount Rushmore because there's 3. That's been the podium for pass catching running backs. Eckler getting older, though, knocking on the door. He's 29 years old, so that's kind of why you see the value dip down a little bit, a little over $4 or $5 million a year. But for the most part, the guy is extremely productive. The Giants go out and sign Devin Singletary after losing Saquon Barkley. Now, I don't think he'll be a standalone running back on this team. Either the Giants draft or make noise for another running back. I do think this is a downgrade at the running back position, and that likely means this team is going to throw the ball more. One, because you went from Barkley down to Singletary, but another because if you look at game script-wise, well, the Giants are pretty likely to just throw the ball more, considering I don't see this current roster winning more than 5 to 6 games. I mean, that is blackmail proof if I've ever seen it, right? If you want to go back and use this video against me, that is completely fine. I don't think that team wins more than 5 to 6 games. They're kind of gutting the offense. The whole Daniel Jones thing is a complete disaster. Don't love it. Don't love it at all. Jacoby Brissett going back to New England. He kind of grew up in that mold. He grew up in that system. He knows that system. Now that system has a lot of different players and moving parts and no longer Tom Brady, obviously. But Brissett was in there when Garoppolo was in there. I believe he was the third string. Had some nice years with the Colts. Went over to the Commanders and performed decently when Sam Howell kind of dropped the ball. So I don't think he's going to be the answer in New England, obviously. I think their draft mode, they're probably looking pretty closely at guys like Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I don't know if they really believe they're going to go out and get Caleb Williams. They'd have to trade a whole lot just to go up one pick in what is a pretty quarterback-heavy draft. So they'll probably take a gander with somebody else. I'm going to be doing some mock draft stuff at some point, and my vote is definitely going to Drake May. But Jacoby Brissett, that'll be a serviceable backup should injuries arise. Fantasy-wise, this really has no impact at all. But those are the updates we have, folks. If you have any questions at all regarding NFL free agency, now is your time to drop those questions in the chat. And you can drop those questions in the chat after we go live as well. We do have a poll in there. Have you been staying up to date on the free agency moves today? It's okay if the answer is no. We'll keep that poll open for you folks. Again, if you want to leave a like and subscribe, we're just updating you on all the different free agency moves and kind of reacting. But if you have any questions about free agency, what's happened, how this impacts your dynasty team, now is your time to ask, and now is your time to hit that link in the description where you can join our free Discord as well. So lots to be excited about. I just did a ton of talking. We're actually going to play some Sporkle because why not, right? So we will go in and do that. And in the meantime, you can ask any questions that you would like to. Let's see. We'll do the NFL. Oh, my goodness. Maybe we'll do something with quarterbacks. Aha. 33 quarterbacks have had multiple 30 passing touchdown seasons. I feel like that's a pretty good one. We'll change that here. But yeah, folks, any questions you have at all regarding free agency, you drop those in. We're just playing a little Sporkle. Oh, and you get how many times they did it as well. Okay, so Tom Brady, obviously. Drew Brees. Phillip Rivers. Rodgers. The Manning Bros. Herbert's already done it, I'm pretty sure. McNabb. He did not. Has Hurts done it yet? No. Prescott yet? Yes. Let's go through the divisions. No Bears quarterback, of course. Kirk Cousins definitely has. Jared Goff definitely has. We've got AFL? What on earth? Okay. Warren Moon going to be in there? Wow. Back then, that's actually pretty impressive. NFC South. We'll go Matt Ryan. Cam Newton. No, I didn't think so. Panthers, Falcons, Saints. Has Winston done it twice? No, just the one time, I'm pretty sure. He had his 30-30 season. Falcons, Saints, Panthers. We'll go on to the East. We already did Dak, Aikman. I don't think... Oh, wow. No Troy Aikman. Romo? Tony Romo did it 4 times. We tried McNabb with the Eagles. Vic would not have done it. Hurts, we tried. Cunningham. I don't think so. Oh, wow. Okay. He did it twice. Robert Griffin III definitely has not, but we'll just type it in for fun. Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders. Giants. Tried the Manning already. Daniel Jones would be a no. We'll go to the West. Russell Wilson. A ton, right? 5 of them. That's pretty good. Kyler Murray. No. Carson Palmer. That's a good pick. He's only done it twice, but that's a good pick. I believe one with the Bengals and one with the Cardinals. Rams, we tried Goff already. Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, and Niners. Joe Montana. Did I already type that in, or did he just never throw 30? He never threw 30. Joe Montana never threw 30. Okay. The more you know. Garoppolo never did. Steve Young would have. Okay. Wow. 17 of 33. We have 2 minutes left. Oh, boy. Okay. East, West. AFC North. Lamar Jackson. Oh, Roethlisberger. Oh, wow. I spelled it right. Ravens, Flacco. Never did it. Browns. No. Bengals. Burrow already? Yep, he's done it. Dalton do it? No, Andy Dalton. Okay. North, South. AFC South. Thinking Texans. Matt Schaub. That'd be hilarious. No. No Matt Schaub. Colts. Andrew Luck. Already did Manning. Jaguars. Lawrence would be a no. Blaine Gabbert is like the only other one I can think of. No. Okay. East. We already did Brady. Tannehill? That wouldn't feel right. No, I didn't think so. Josh Allen. Tagovailoa. I don't think he has multiple yet. Jets. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't think so. We tried Rodgers already. Namath wouldn't be on here. Oh, Kelly. Joe Kelly. Okay. No. West. Mahomes. Wilson. Carr. No. And we tried Herbert already. North, South, East, West. 9 of them. 9 30 touchdown seasons. Okay. Can't say it's jumping out to me. Who was it? Brett Favre. Oh my. Brett Favre, Dan Marino, Matthew Stafford. Oh, I could have done this perfectly. Kurt Warner. Dante Culpepper would have been tough. Y.A. Tittle. Daryl LaMonica. Dan Fouts, Jeff Garcia, Sonny Jurgensen, and Steve Bartkowski. I could have done better. Average score is 45%, so I think we'll take it. But that went a little rough, not going to lie. So, folks, yeah, again, I'm Cory. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. Just kind of here to check in and talk about the free agency moves that we've seen over the course of the first 10 and a half hours since the negotiating period started. This goes through Wednesday. If you have any other questions, go in the chat. This will be archived, and feel free to ask me anything. I usually get back to you pretty quickly. Otherwise, just go on and join our Armchair Fantasy Football Discord. It is free. The link is in the description, and I am here to help. So, folks, I hope you have a wonderful night, and we will see you in the next live stream.